You're right.
But when it comes to our people's liberation, how thin is the line between friend and comrade? Because of the fact that right now we're in crucial times, and it's one thing for me to be cool with Jared and Kamal, but politically, how important is that? Because of the fact that, some would say that some of these folks are a setback to our liberation. So how do you respond to that? Is it, it's just we cool, we homies, or how that work?
Yeah, see, and that distinction, though, my brother, is so crucial with friend versus comrade. And you can even add comrade versus family. What the Thanksgiving dinner's like in terms of who's around the table. You got family, you got deep political and ideological disagreements, but you still take a bullet for. And see, for me, friends, genuine friends, really are like family. That is to say, they're persons who you have deep cares for, even though you have deep political and ideological disagreements with. And as things intensify, as they will, as they already have, you then wonder, well, what happens when you have friends who, one, you never want to be in a foxhole with. That's very important. Because I'm not getting in the foxhole with Brother Skip. I love the brother, but I ain't getting in there. No. He's too close to the Harvard administration. He's too close to the elites who trying to crush me. He's too close to the folk who've been lying about me. Now he'll tell me, they shouldn't be crushing you, brother. They shouldn't be lying about you. But that's different than being in the foxhole. I'm going to get in the foxhole with Glenn Ford. That's a whole different thing, you see. But that doesn't mean to Skip not my friend and my brother. Now, part of it maybe is just Christian sensibilities too. You try to love everybody. You have a classical Christian notion of hatred where you hate the sin and still try to stay in contact with the humanity of the sinner. That's Shiloh Baptist Church. That's Vacation Bible School. That's Chocolate Side of Sacramento, where I come from. And that's maybe where Brother Jared and I might have a certain kind of healthy tension. Because the heathen sensibility says you don't have to have that kind of connection with the humanity of the oppressor. You see, is that? I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is that
the only difference would be I would say that they don't have humanity to be in touch with.
They don't have humanity at all. No. Yeah, you see, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay.
We just want to make sure you're going to take him out during the revolution too.
Because Cain and Abel were brothers. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't work out too well. So that.
But this is very important because the part of their humanity is choosing to behave in such a way that they have no humanity. That's a choice that they make. And they can change. They can change. Oh, that's true. But it's like Malcolm Little versus Malcolm X. Hey, Malcolm Little he's a brilliant gangster, man. If he hadn't been loved by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he wouldn't have undergone his transformation. Then he outgrew the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So people do change, right? People undergo transformation.
Yeah, but it's getting late in the evening when it comes to Skip Gates. You know what I'm saying? You might change his beard, him and Obama with the beard summit. What are you gonna change, man?
Same topic, but I wanted to bring up Coates a little bit because there was the back and forth in the media. I think you put out some statements sort of overtly challenging his positioning, what he represented, who he was. I don't know if you guys, what you could share, had a private conversation before what your relationship is, but you publicly put some stuff out around who he is and what he represents. Can you talk a little bit just around what was it that made you feel so strongly about having to put something out to either make people, what you felt was making people either aware, making sure that he wasn't sort of falling into a space where he got maybe unnecessary accolades around his positioning, again, around Black struggle and Black freedom struggle. Like I was curious about, I never heard sort of the background of that. Like, so what was it that prompted sort of like these public statements to say, in some ways, like this guy needs to be watched and not given this sort of kind of clear runway to be so strongly identified with Black struggle, Black freedom struggle.
And if I can
put out some stuff,
yes.
And if I can, Wes, why would you be willing to speak out that way against Coates, but not even respond in that kind of way when Dyson took all that money to say all of those ridiculous things about you. So could you add that into your response? The difference
No, I
in
appreciate
why you
that.
challenge
Yeah.
Coates in that way and
Well,
not
I mean,
Dyson?
keep in mind, I did respond to Dyson. I said
Yeah, that's true.
he was involved in the self-projection, and he was viewing me as if he was himself, and therefore his careerism, his opportunism, his refusal to really try to enact any kind of integrity. But it was just on Facebook that I
Right. That's what I meant. That's what I
No,
meant.
you're right. You're right. But same is true with Brother Coates. I never responded on paper. I responded on Facebook. But actually, it began with my very, very dear sister, Toni Morrison. And the only reason why I left Union and went to Princeton, she called and said, honey, let's create an intellectual neighborhood together. I said, sookie now. Good God Almighty. That sounds like the voice of heaven right there. Time for me to leave. But when Toni said, he is our James Baldwin. And I said, no, we that's like saying Usher is Donny Hathaway. Somebody got to intervene. You know what I mean?
Good Lord.
No Gladys Knight. I love Jody. She can sing everything, but Gladys gonna take me home. That's like saying Alicia Keys it's Rochelle Farrell. We got to keep our standards together. So all I said was, James Baldwin was a great writer and Coates was a clever wordsmith. I said, James Baldwin was willing to give his life when he went to Jim Crow apartheid South and could have been shot. Whereas Coates views himself as always detached. We tried to get him to be part of the stop and frisk movement. He said he gonna show up, didn't show up because of his agents. And I said, he's a darling of Atlantic magazine. That's neoliberal politics tied to uncritical acceptance of Israeli domination and occupation of Palestinians. So he's talented. His voice is fine. But if you're gonna show up with your saxophone and still playing scales, and somebody tell you Coltrane, somebody got to say, no, you're Coates. You're not Baldwin. You're gonna have a nervous breakdown if people looking at you like you Baldwin and you Coates. You got talent. Continue to cultivate it, but somebody got to defend the standards of our tradition. You see what I mean? They can flatten down all you want. Well, we won't go into other analogies, but this is very real. This is very important. It's like some of these little young brothers start rapping and say they Rakim. No, you're not Rakim. Get your work together. Get your discipline together. He's the Coltrane of hip hop. You better study him, but you ain't him. You see what I mean? That's what I was saying to Coach. Now then they came back. Oh, you jealous because you full of envy? No. Coach got the same literary agent that I do. That's my literary agent. Was she even interested in him years ago? I said, yes, he's a talented brother. He come out of D.C. But I had to let her go because then she coming at me telling me, well, I think you envious too. I said, well, no, you don't understand me or my mama and daddy.
So
I ain't perfect, but I'm not envious. No, I cultivate young voices.
So it's your fault we hear from Coates.
Voices by telling them that they are Aretha, Coltrane, Donny Hathaway, Luther Vandross, James Baldwin, John Henry Clark, W. Du Bois. You don't say that to folk. The standards are too high. You see what I mean? That's what that was about. Now, of course, I went on to say that he reifies white supremacy. There's no capitalism in there. There's no imperialism in there. No class struggle in there. No critiques of the black bourgeoisie in there. No critiques of any kind of class formations and class struggles, you see. So that kind of reification is easily accommodated to neoliberal mainstream discourse that means you're going to make big money. Now, when he won the MacArthur Genius Award the next year, I said, sookie now. I was much more right than I thought. Wow. The embrace is full. The darling of the neoliberal establishment is confirmed. And that's good. I'm glad the brother got money. I don't want him to be broke as the Ten Commandments, but he got to know what he is in relation to the tradition that produced him.